in the streets. See, go, talk, got that grind, never sleep. Bug, podcast, be the source of the heat. Hustle and flow with that rhythm and beat. Stacks on the rocks while the haters just creep. Catching that shine, you could call me a beast. Always on the move, got my crew by my feet. Living this life, see the world from the peak. Ain't no stop, we on the ground. Wash your heart and burn the line.
Salute world, we back at it like a crack addict. It's your boy Cross, big CEO across your heart, man. I want to say salute to everybody. Been rocking with the channel, supporting the channel. Y'all make sure y'all coming in, y'all hit that like button, y'all comment, and y'all subscribe. I got some people that's gonna come up here today. Excuse me, and it's very interesting. A lot of people be talking about the whole Epstein files and things of that nature, but I got this video that is going to kind of blow everybody's mind. And, and I just want to hear what people got to say or what they think as far as with this whole Epstein thing. Now, there's a video that's surfacing. Shout out Scooper with the Coop. The Coop. Go look at that and subscribe to that channel. On that channel, they're talking about, he's actually breaking it down. He broke it down a while ago. It's starting to resurface, but I had never seen it through my timeline. So it just caught me by surprise just to know what was really going on during this time, this whole Epstein time, right? So I'm going to get into, I got some people that's going to probably join the panel, but I'm going to get into this. And yeah, shout out to, go again, educational purposes only. And the title is Epstein Still Alive. Here's the proof. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into it. And as people coming up, I'm going to let them, say what they got to say, people that is going to be coming on the panel today. So let's get to it. Salute, Hey Will. Hey Will is in the building. And we're going to get into this because I think this is very interesting, this whole Epstein thing and the conspiracy. A lot of people saying that he is alive, he isn't alive, he's got too much money. There's rumors about him having a cloning thing inside, I guess, inside his underground or whatever the case may be. I don't know. So again, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna watch this right now. So let's check this out.
Like and subscribe, join the Discord, the Minecraft server, and the Patreon. Now let's dive. I spent the last 3 weeks of my life digging up the real, unknown information about Jeffrey Epstein. You know him, the beloved financier and philanthropist, and his esteemed girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell, the heiress and Redditor. And in that time, I noticed that there was a hole in the market for Epstein information, that being any reasonable proof he actually met his end by his own hand in August of 2019 in the jail cell. And from
So that is the alleged, I guess that's alleged scene of the jail cell where you see all of these orange, all this stuff up in there. And then at the bottom, I want y'all to make sure y'all stay on point with that, because in the left picture, it's a reason for this left picture. And that picture at the bottom is what Epstein, that machine down there, what was inside that cell, allegedly, when Epstein was, because he had sleeping problems, sleep apnea. So he had to take a machine. So just remember that he had to take a machine in order to sleep at night.
my research, there's only one conclusion from what I've uncovered. Not only did Epstein not take his own life, he never even died at all.
Widow.
And so that's what I've set out to do for you here today. Bring all this information together that I have gleaned from the internet, and first prove that Epstein did not kill himself, and second of all, prove that he is still alive, and third of all, give some plausible theories about where he might be today. One would assume that guarding Epstein was a battalion of Navy SEALs, perhaps prepared to perish to preserve and ensure that Epstein would be forced into revealing everyone implicated in his ways, but no, we actually had the opposite. And for us, that's where this story really begins. At 6:30 a.m., Jeffrey Epstein is discovered by the two guards who had been posted outside of his cell named Tova Noel and Michael Thomas. And they are reason number one that Epstein did not kill himself. These two guards were so derelict in their duties and genuinely stupid that it can only be intentional. The pair were meant to check on Epstein every 15 to 30 minutes and keep a strict log of having done so, but they just decided not to do that and instead just forged the logbook and said that they made their rounds. Now, with all the extra time on their hands, what might they have been doing, you ask? They were really busy shopping.
So we also know that they forged these documents, allegedly. These are the notes that they were forged, saying that they were supposed to be checking on Epstein during this time as well.
For furniture online, looking at motorcycles they could only afford if perhaps they were given a giant amount of cash, and making little refresher walks to the break room, which was the opposite direction of Epstein's cell and dozens of feet
To
further.
the ones in
for
the
the record,
bushes,
these
man.
check-ins that they had to do were incredibly
hit the
simple.
like
Tova
button.
Noel and Michael Thomas were posted roughly 15 feet from Epstein's jail cell door, and all they had to do was walk over there, make sure he wasn't doing anything circumspect, and walk back. It's not like they had to check his prison wallet every 15 minutes. And even worse, the two were, and I can't make this up, taking simultaneous 2-hour-long naps. And conveniently, alongside this, the cameras stopped working and there was no video evidence of Epstein's jail cell floor. But it's also worth noting that there's a camera inside of Epstein's cell that's never discussed, and that too just magically stopped working and we don't have the footage for it. Now, I won't get into the math of how all these cameras could stop operating at the same time, because it's not possible, but it's just one of the many reasons why Epstein certainly did not kill himself.
Salute, we got Ja in the building. Salute, Ja.
Peace to the kings and queens. Cross the Heart Podcast. You already know, my bro.
You already know. You already know. So yeah, Ja, so they're breaking this down about, the forgery of these people that was in there for 2 hours. These are people where, they were saying Epstein was asleep the whole time but never checked. And these were the vehicles that they were looking at while they were online.
Right.
So you were looking at them, you know what I'm saying? So I just want to get you where we at. So we right here. So check this
Inside
out.
of Epstein's cell that's never discussed, and that too just magically stopped working and we don't have the footage for it. Now, I won't get into the math of how all these cameras could stop operating at the same time, because it's not possible, but it's just one of the many reasons why Epstein certainly did not kill himself. Reason 2 Epstein did not kill himself is that the same night the guards were sleeping and shopping, the inmates were most certainly not. I presume there was a unique dynamic in the cell block, as the special housing unit where Epstein was filled with murderers, and an international pedophile being just feet away from them, well, he was very likely to have his life ended by somebody. As it's commonly known that pedophiles are the first to die in prison, and according to the most conservative statistics, they are at least twice as likely to die as any other inmate. Thus, I presume many inmates wondered who had gotten to Epstein when they began hearing shrieking and shouting, in their own words, from Epstein's cell the night of his alleged demise. Not to state the obvious, but you don't scream while hanging yourself in prison. It sort of defeats the purpose. On your end, I'm sure you're wondering, like I was when I read this, why weren't we told that there'd been screaming from Epstein's cell the night of his death? After all, every inmate seems to have heard it because it was that loud, and they were emphatic that this came from Epstein's cell, no one else's, and it wasn't the guards. And speaking of the guards, why didn't anyone go and check in on Epstein at this point? Certainly if there were a time to get off Wayfair and make sure the world's most high-profile criminal wasn't being murdered, would be when he's shouting and screaming from his jail cell. That would be unless you as a guard were paid off, which these two obviously were. Anyone can see that. Now, Cooper...
So far, what you thinking, Josh? So in the hindsight of this, you think that it was some people that was paid off allegedly?
Well, I mean, in foresight, we had a discussion about this a few years ago.
Facts.
Now it's coming into fruition that everything we discussed, the possibilities or evidence around the parameters of possibility is now coming into fruition. So yeah, it's pretty much somewhat goes into the partaking of what we had originally assumed.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is you ain't, you paid to not be here.
Facts.
You still on the planet. You just dead in America.
So
you might add here, it's clear that Tova and Michael were failing in their duties. We can't deny that, but we can't just say they were paid off with no evidence. After all, these are highly trained, long-time prison guards. They wouldn't just take a bribe. Certainly the Bureau of Prisons has standards to prevent that sort of thing from happening. And here's reason 3 why Epstein did not kill himself. Firstly, Tova Noel was a new hire. That was the female guard on site that night. She was only recently progressed from training and placed into normal operations, and she was scum. She was known to be bad at her job and had taken it upon herself to physically assault one of her colleagues, which she was later sued for. Now, it's only worth laughing at.
Okay, so you got somebody that was in that job that basically got in trouble. Really wasn't even, let's go back and make sure we hear this, y'all, so we can get this. And again, for educational purposes, salute the coup.
These are highly trained, long-time prison guards. They wouldn't just take a bribe. Certainly the Bureau of Prisons has standards to prevent that sort of thing from happening. And here's reason 3 why Epstein did not kill himself. Firstly, Tova Noel was a new hire. That was the female guard on site that night. She was only recently progressed from training and placed into normal operations, and she was scum. She was known to be bad at her job and had taken it upon herself to physically assault one of her colleagues, which she was later sued for. Now, it's only worth laughing at because Tova said that her colleague was being racist for telling her how to do her job and helping her. And the colleague that Tova had been saying these things about was, no joke, an elderly Mexican woman who had been in the system for a number of years and had been placed in charge of Tova's training.
Let's stop there. What you think about that, Ja?
That's what I was going to actually stop as well. Because
Yeah.
that's kind of like my expertise right now.
Facts,
So
facts.
so I definitely am laughing at it because I'm like, damn, all of these things are clear. All right, let me just start by saying this. The correctional system is a run organization within our society, but it's politically based. And so everything that happens within it is based on someone's political power.
Fact.
So a person with financial powers, which gives them political power, can easily control the behaviors, the schemes, all of the routines and directives of corrections. So you can interject someone within 30 to 60 days um, as a trainee as well, and they can play the roles and do the damn thing according to the script. And it seems
Right.
like there was a script to be played. And I was going to add that these are all the players. So if you look at the situation like a chessboard, you'll see that there's different pieces. Some of them are alike, but none of them have the same function. See,
Facts.
so each one of them have their own role to play. And if you take them away from that, you can't take a white bishop and make it black during the process. It don't work. See, so you can't make the black come the white during the process. They all play their role. So it's the same thing that's happening here, and that has happened as we suspected before.
No, that's real. This is crazy. So it's gonna get crazy. You're gonna trip.
So it was her trainer telling her what to do. Huh. While on the other hand, Michael Thomas, the other security guard, wasn't quite the pick of the litter either. After Epstein allegedly took his life, an anonymous source inside the prison reached out to a couple of news agencies and reported that one of the guards wasn't actually a Bureau of Prisons employee. And we know Tova technically was, so they must be referring to Michael Thomas. And so I did a little bit more digging, and apparently he was a temporary helper hired to keep employee and guard numbers at normal levels. That's right, Michael Thomas, based on this report, likely was not even a prison guard. He was possibly one of dozens of people on the prison floor that night who weren't thoroughly vetted and had no history of working in the Bureau of Prisons.
Let's stop there. What you think,
As
John?
I just said, you
Crazy.
got money, you got political power. Political power, you ain't got to be connected to what? Corrections. You can
That's
just be
true.
injected based upon who sent you. And right there it's clear, out of nowhere. You ain't even got no connection to it because you're not. You're the political connector. And that's how she got in.
This is crazy.
It's
This is
just what
crazy.
goes on. It's just what goes on. And I'm around that shit on a minute level compared to this.
This big dog stuff.
Yeah, bro.
How
Yeah.
they orchestrated this.
Yeah, we got a couple
he's
high
the-
profile, but boy, this right here.
Yeah, this it. So let's
Yeah,
see.
you
Exact kind of
remember
guy.
everything is political. You feel me? The money. You follow the money where it go back to. We be talking about people later that are money based but politically current. And
Right.
they are powerful.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Good. Epstein, rich and powerful. I don't believe he offended himself.
Nah,
Well, I know she said offended, but I said, I'm going to say, unalive. Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
the most famous example we got of that? They put it in script like it's a story, but it's actually what? people with money and influence do when the world corners them into
Yeah,
a jail cell. See, they pull a what? A Machiavelli.
facts.
And it's just an example of it. That's all they've been doing it.
This is
If it
crazy work.
if they weren't doing it, it wouldn't exist. We wouldn't even be talking about it if it wasn't real at some point.
At some point, you're right. It had to cross the
Right.
threshold of truth.
Exactly.
No, you're right. Let's keep going. Yeah.
Would want to be guarding a fellow like Epstein if, say, you were trying to get him out. So of the two people tasked with guarding Epstein, not only were both of them either willfully incompetent and plain stupid, they were also the lowest possible common denominator of employee possible, and one wasn't even a real trained guard. But hey, at least justice was served, right? Tova and Michael both got acquitted on all charges, including forging prison documents, which they legitimately did but got off on because they pleaded black and told the judge that they were being used as scapegoats because of their race. Just let that one settle in for you. Reason number 4, Epstein did not.
What you think about that? And that's how they played off the whole society without even, and you know, again, we quick to jump to whatever the conclusion is, but nobody even looked to ask what was that person's background. Like none of that even took place. Like these folks with their backgrounds, and one is not even a prison guard.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, you know, psychology tells us emotional impulse does not have a logical response. So when we act emotionally, as the media often carries us into a fanatic state of emotion, we don't have a logical base to our thinking or critical thinking, which creates solutions to problems. So guess what? We're at the mercy of influence now. And that makes us reactive instead of proactive. People that are logical are proactive because they can see through the fog and say, hey, I should walk this way. Other people don't. They get caught up in the emotion of the moment. And with that, you can be easily deceived and misled.
Oh, that's real talk.
That's the distraction.
Suicide watch is one of the most regulated things an inmate can be on. The protocol is either to remove everything from the inmate's cell or put him in a special cell with nothing in it but a plastic mattress. And then you strip the inmate completely nude, and at that point a guard is placed on 24/7 watch over the inmate. You literally don't even get toilet paper in there because you could use that to choke yourself. And because it's so strenuous, it's often very difficult to get into. In fact, Epstein was evaluated more than 3 times by prison psychologists before actually getting placed on suicide watch. It's also
Can
typical
you
for
stop that
prisoners.
for a second, bro?
Yep, go ahead, break it down.
Let me speak to the expertise of that security gown that he's
I already know.
mockingly put on. See, he had a security gown in his hand, a security blanket in his arm, and a security gown that he was putting on. That security gown is a one-piece gown with 4 industrial strength Velcro straps, and
Okay.
you can only you have to work to get the gown off. In other words, secondly, when you're on suicide watch, you have nothing but your necessities of sleep, like your blanket, sheets, sometime a pillow. Um, Other than that, nothing else is allowed in your cell. Thirdly, there's a guard that's watching you every 5 minutes. He has to document every 5 to 10 minutes what you're doing, whether you're sleeping, anything you're doing. Sleeping on your
Right.
right side is a number, sleeping on your left side is a number, on your stomach is a number, on your back is a number. He has to document that behavior. So when you're on suicide watch, it's called self-harm. And you're not allowed to be unseen. You don't get a chance to commit suicide. You have no information. You have no privacy. The law takes your privacy away from you once you commit yourself to being self-harm, and you're a property of the state once you're in custody. It's called a ward of the state, so state property. So he was both, and that's why. Carry on.
Okay. All right. All right.
Have a sort of downshifting period from maximum watch to a lesser version of that. And the lesser version is that once they leave the nude chamber, they then go into a special section of the prison where their cell is closest to the guards, so they have immediate access, and they also typically have a less offensive cellmate with them to help ensure that if they do begin trying to kill themselves, the cellmate will stop them from doing it. And Epstein was in fact moved to the closest cell to the guards. We saw how much that helped, but Epstein was also given a very lackluster cellmate, the kind of dude that most would be afraid of. In fact, rather than getting a less violent or non-violent offender, Epstein got probably the most violent offender in there at that time, at least in his unit. His name was Nicholas Tartaglione, a former cop who murdered 4 people, and this man was Epstein's cellmate, before and after being in suicide watch. And it's critical to know this because Epstein didn't allegedly try taking his own life once, but twice, according to most resources. But I'll tell you why this is crap. On July 23rd, he was found on the floor of his cell with a strip of bedsheet around his neck. Sounds familiar. Now, this Tartaglione fellow is no joke. He's built like a fortress, a massive man. But an important connection to make is that one of these murders he conducted was on a woman in which he strangled her. And Epstein was found with a bedsheet tied around his neck within feet of a man who literally strangles people to death. Indeed, if this weren't Epstein and he weren't in prison, it's pretty clear that Tartaglione would be on trial right now for another attempted murder. But the skeptic out there will be willing to take the headlines at face value and assume
That is a good observation. If he was his cellmate, allegedly, and he did that, wouldn't they have charged him?
Well, depending on what state it is, state of New York and the state of New Jersey, you ain't got no cellmate when you're on suicide watch. Because there's been men that are suicidal that induce a fight and often kill their cellmates. See,
So
nah,
you saying that's even you calling BS on that too?
yeah, it's a setup. It's a setup. You have somebody in there with you. That was against the law, first of all. And if it wasn't against the law, it was a setup, which it was. And if it was a setup, who was it a setup for? For you to get away or for you to be dealt with? And it's clear they say if you kill yourself, you haven't been dealt with. And we're not speaking of espionage where someone is good enough in that environment. I've been in that environment as many of us have. So
Yeah,
on both sides, now on both sides of the door.
no, that's a fact.
Yeah, speaking from a duality of experience.
No, that's a fact.
And that ain't going
these are
down
just
like that.
coincidences. And to the skeptic, I say the following. Epstein told lawyers that his cellmate, Nicholas Tartaglione, had roughed him up after being sent to suicide watch. And in addition to that, Epstein would make a very interesting remark to his lawyers and several other people within the prison. That being that he was a coward, would never try and take his own life, and he was afraid of pain. So therefore, why on earth do we have the mainstream narrative that it was Epstein trying to take his own life? Reason number 5, that Epstein did not kill himself, goes along with the above, in the sense that there are dozens of things I could point out, and this video will be an hour plus long. So to save time and get to the juicier bits later on, I'm just gonna rapid fire a few factoids at you. Number 1, on July 16th, Epstein made an unmonitored and illegal phone call from prison, presumably on an employee's phone he got permission from. Worth noting, this employee broke every single code, and yet he was never prosecuted. The phone call, despite being made in a prison with dozens of cameras watching and recording audio, has never been released. Maybe the cameras weren't working that day either. And to this day, over 6 years later, we still are not told who was on the other end of the line. Epstein eventually hung up the phone after a stern, many minutes long conversation and gave the phone back to the employee. Now, who on earth could Epstein have possibly said he was calling? Well, his mommy, of course. And apparently the guard was never given a basic facts file on Epstein, because had he been, he would have known that Epstein's mother had been dead since 2004.
We're going to stop there. So, he ended up getting a cell phone.
Yeah.
And the day of, or the day before, or whatever, the day of, and he called, and the news came out and said he called his mom, but his mom been gone since 2004.
And they said, and like they said, they don't know who he called, and they really don't know who he called. And if he used the phone of somebody in there, which happens all the time, like you're not going to be in jail and you worth anything. We're not even talking about billions.
Right.
You could just be worth a few $100,000. You give a man a couple bands right now. Man, I give you 2 bands a month. You gonna let me use your phone?
Yeah.
You're gonna go get a throwaway phone and bring that in with you. That's why your phones are not allowed in there. You feel me?
Right.
Now they sneak them in, but you know your phone's not allowed in there. So you know how it is when you hit me and make a joint. I'm talking to you off the watch. You feel me?
Right. Salute.
So, but they do get it. Like, now, you know how somebody bring it in there, just like they get everything else while they in there. So if you want to do something to yourself, you can do it. If you want to get high, you can get high. If you want to, hit it somebody out here, you can hit it somebody out here. You can do all of that stuff if you're in there with some power.
Yeah, you gotta have some power.
Yeah. And power only come in 2 5-letter words.
Show Anchor's home in the building. Show your love. Salute, salute. Yeah,
Word is on.
yeah, because this is crazy, bro. Like, I can't understand. So if he said he called his mom, but his mom is already dead, it's gonna get deeper. Let's go. Let's keep going.
Full 15 years prior to this phone call, meaning who Epstein made the call to is still completely unknown, but it definitely wasn't his mom. Another interesting fact is that Epstein reported bizarre happenings in his cell prior to his demise, including a toilet that wouldn't stop flushing and the inability to sleep. He would cover his ears and shut his eyes and curl up in a ball to try and get any shut-eye. And yet despite this, he maintained upwards of 12-hour meetings with his lawyers on a daily basis. In addition to this, another interesting report that refutes the Epstein side theory is that Epstein had recently purchased a radio for AM/FM transmission and a set of headphones from the prison, which several prison officials went on record as saying they believed was Epstein getting used to the idea that he was going to be here for a while. And finally, the Manhattan Metropolitan Correctional Facility where Epstein was housed was known for a major problem, that being that inmates were being delivered supplies via drone, meaning machines and possibly people could easily have gotten into Epstein without anyone noticing, as it's happened before. Now that is a fact they don't want you to know. That all being said, let's fast forward to reason 6. It's 6:33 a.m. on August 10th, and Epstein has yet to report to the guard and come for breakfast. So the guards, Michael and Tova, finally go in to check on Epstein, only to find him in a kneeling position, with his legs just shy of touching the floor, being held up by a set of bed sheets tied to the top bar of his bunk bed. At this juncture, it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to surmise that Epstein is obviously long dead. And it's not like these were new guards. They were well aware that they hadn't checked in on him in many hours, and that there was no chance to revive Epstein. Therefore, the expectation at this point would be to immediately get doctors and medical examiners here and ensure that absolutely nothing can disrupt the crime scene and that no one tampers with the evidence. But the guards don't do this. According to his testimony, Michael Thomas bursts into the 86.4 square foot cell and cuts Epstein down from where he is held aloft. He then proceeds to attempt resuscitating the lifeless husk, shouting, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe," followed up with, "We're going to be in so much trouble." Certainly Thomas was correct. He should have been in so much trouble. And it's worth noting, this body is so dead at this point, he has the same chance of breathing life into it as he does my stuffed horse. And based on Michael Thomas's words and own account, he was well aware of that. He was just doing this to cover his butt. The 2 prison guards then proceed to use a defibrillator on Epstein, all the while continuing to disturb the crime scene. Completely destroyed all available evidence in the cell.
Let's stop there, Ja. I mean, this is getting crazy. So my man cut him down, said we in real trouble, started doing chest compressions, and but he's already gone.
And he wasn't allowed to cut him down. That's not procedure. Procedure is the code blue called, and then that code blue brings all medical staff to the central point of the problem.
Yeah.
Then you secure the environment, allow them to do that. And if they can't get there, they're gonna instruct you.
And he's not even a trained guard.
He's not a real guard according to them.
Yeah, he's not trained, not real. Yeah, he ain't nothing. This is crazy.
So that's how I go down around town when you getting that money like that.
Yeah, I guess. This is crazy, bro. Let's keep going.
If there were any other DNA present at one point in this room, it certainly isn't there any longer. Everything in the cell is manhandled, covered in their DNA, and thrown around. Even Epstein's mattress ends up on the floor, which makes zero sense. At this juncture, it's surpassed the point where stupidity is no longer an acceptable excuse. These 2 were not only derelict in their duties, they then entered a crime scene and destroyed all of the evidence. Eventually, the medical professionals on site got wind of what happened to Epstein and come to remove the body and photograph the evidence. Once again, breaking protocol though, because they should have left the body in the cell and then taken photos as the scene stood, which to my knowledge, and based on all the photos online that I could find, did not happen. They removed his body and then took photos of what was left inside. So now we're left with a completely unusable crime scene, 2 further guilty guards, and questionable medical examiners who didn't even take the right kind of photos. Which leads us into reason number 7 why Epstein did not kill himself. After the crime scene was destroyed, photos were taken, but barely a handful it looks like. I would imagine you'd be taking hundreds, maybe even thousands of photographs at this point, just to make sure that you cover all of your bases, where to your knowledge, Earth's most depraved criminal just hanged himself. But they don't do this. Instead, we get these out of focus, strangely angled photos showing us seemingly intentionally, in my opinion, absolutely nothing of value. I went to dinner with my family a couple days ago and I took better and more accurate photographs of what I ate than what they did of Epstein's crime scene. But unintentionally, this photographer caught something he probably wasn't supposed to. The discerning eye, upon a second glance, will notice some pretty groundbreaking piece of evidence that even Tova and Michael Thomas couldn't have missed. First is the alleged noose, which was made either from bed sheets or bits of clothing. The facts are a bit murky there. In either case, the material given to the prisoners for clothing and sheets is designed in a manner to prevent just this Epstein situation from happening. Also, as far as I can tell online, the color of uniform for the Manhattan Metropolitan Correctional Center is blue, not orange.
Let's stop there. Oh, man. So, again, we don't even know if it's going to get murky. It's finna get spooky here in a minute. So what you think about that, Ja?
Man, I don't know if that was the real noose.
Oh, he gonna break that one down too. You're right. He gonna break that down, but just the
That
fact that
looked like a piece of the jumper.
right. And my thing is, why all these orange jumpsuits in there?
Yeah, but see, normally throughout New York and New Jersey,
Salute.
you know, when you go to that county, that's jumpsuit color.
Yeah.
Up here, that's jumpsuit color. So, you know, different facilities may have different colors, but yeah, orange is a predominant jumpsuit color because when you in that jumpsuit, that's what you in at the facility we had too.
Hmm.
At the
Okay.
prison we had too. You feel me? So
Yeah.
everybody get that
Yeah.
pumpkin suit. You feel
Yeah.
me? But it's still inconsistent with, you know, the truth.
Facts.
Like
Facts.
nigga, like you in jail, you can get anything, bro. That's another factor. So
And yeah,
like
like
you
you said,
said,
you got
you know,
money too.
they got drones. We was using tennis balls when I was in there. They got drones now. So you really can get shit when you want it now. You can
Yeah.
order shit now and get shit in jail.
Nah, that's a fact. That's a
That's
fact.
crazy. You know, thinking about it, like you like,
Yeah.
damn, now, you know, we
Now,
used to have to go through all type of stuff. You used to risk getting caught on the outside of jail, throwing something in the jail for people. And now you got drones that can just drop it off. Keep it
yeah.
moving.
Yeah. You're right. That's a
Word
fact.
up, make nothing of it.
Let's
So,
keep going.
At least that's what all the MCC prisoners I could find online were depicted as wearing, but hey, I mean, that's just a bit odd to me. But it could be that they changed uniform colors by the time Epstein got there. I think that's doubtful, but I'll grant the skeptic the benefit of the doubt there. What, however, is even stranger is that if we refer to Michael Thomas's own testimony, he states that he had noticed Epstein dangling from the top of his bed. And so he runs in, pulls out a blade, and cuts Epstein down. But wait a minute there, buddy. There is not a single sign of this fabric having been cut with a knife. Moreover, the end of the material is hemmed, meaning that most certainly it was never cut. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is certainly not the noose that Epstein used on himself, most obviously because Epstein did not kill himself. Reason number 8, Epstein did not kill himself. I'm going to advocate for the other side here. If I were to lobotomize myself right this second and believe that Epstein, the man who, as we discussed in the Zorro Ranch video, was obsessed with living forever to the point of having laboratories and female egg farms under his home, actually killed himself, then there are even more questions that we must answer. For instance, why would he choose the most impossible method for taking his own life? A method that would only cause him pain, not death, and would likely get him thrown in the nude suicide watch chamber. And once again, this is the guy who made a point of telling everyone around him that he was a coward who hated pain. The answer is simply that he wouldn't. He would never take the slowest, most painful, and most unlikely way of taking his life. Instead, he would choose a much more guaranteed method for ending his life. Something sturdy and reliable and built Ford tough, my bad, not an ad read right now. You know, like a large swath of thick plastic tubing. Or, you know, if I had my pick of the litter, I might choose a strong, black, unbreakable power cord. Now, obviously, Epstein didn't have his pick of the litter and couldn't have chosen either of these, so why are you telling me this, Cooper? Well, because Epstein actually could have chosen either of these things instead of the bed sheets. And that's because Epstein had sleep apnea. What a weird diversion, Cooper. I know. Why do I care? Just trust me here, I have a thing. My father also has sleep apnea, and with it comes a very large, loud machine with this strap that goes over your face and like sucks into your nose. It's really weird looking. And then that attaches to a length of thick plastic tubing that then goes into a machine, typically a big black box, that forces you to breathe and is powered by typically a long black cable which plugs into any wall within several feet. Sleep apnea is really crucial for some people because at certain points you can stop breathing for seconds or minutes on end, which obvious problems when you stop breathing, you can die. And in spite of that, I still make fun of my dad, but that's a side point. But taking my dad out of the story, Epstein is sitting in a room with his sleep apnea machine. This sleep apnea machine was not regulated for prisons at all. You can see it in the picture. It has several feet of this thick plastic tubing and then several feet of black cable.
What do you think about that, Ja? Why would he not use that if it was they missed that part of the picture. No
Man,
one
if he had
caught that
access,
part of the
he
picture.
had access. If he had access to a machine, bro,
Come
that
on,
already.
bro.
First of all, it already shows the influence of money. Because if you got a CPAC machine in the cell, why would you use something makeshift when you got the perfect fail-proof apparatus right there?
Yeah,
Forget about the hose, just the cord alone. That's it. All you need is the cord.
and not only that, if he needs a
Or
PAP machine to breathe, why he just said,
what? There's no machine.
or just don't use the machine and then
Yeah, I'll have it, but I ain't gonna use the machine. And it's like this. We already know what he did. I said it from the beginning. Billionaires ain't gonna die at the hand of poor people.
right,
It's bullshit. You feel
right.
me? So what game they was playing? And everybody, just think, everybody chasing around the distraction, the Epstein files. No, why don't you chase Epstein? He is the file. That's why you can't find him.
Yeah,
It's all a game.
it's
And
all a
distractions
game.
from that. Why they stealing more money from the people?
It's
See,
crazy.
our government.
Let's
Word
keep
up.
going, y'all. Y'all hit that like button. 339 in
Plugging
the
into the
building.
wall. So you
Appreciate y'all.
actually have to be an
Y'all
idiot
watching.
not to use that instead. And if there's one thing Epstein is not, he's most certainly not an idiot. Makes you wonder then why the media never told you that little bit of information, did it? Because all you had to do was look at a photo. Reason number 9. Now at this juncture, I am sure that in no way you believe Epstein took his own life. If you do, I would like to sell you some knives, and if you get 3 of your friends to join, I'll make you rich. So what else we can agree on is that I haven't quite proven that Epstein isn't dead. Fair, so let's move our attention to the photos of his body after it's taken away from the prison. The first thing you may notice is that none of these autopsy photos look like Epstein. And it's convenient that there are no photos that are direct on angles of his.
See what I'm saying? Look, they about to get deep with this, dog. So I guess, so they saying, okay, the places of the teeth, okay, we can see where that could be a little bit of conspiracy wise, but let's go a little bit deeper.
Face, which means we can't run any facial recognition software or clearly discern if it's him or not. That being said, we can disprove this being Epstein's body well before the.
So this is the actual photo that was taken. It's the actual photo that was taken of him laying in the gurney. So I just want everybody to know that.
Autopsy photos. There is a photo that reveals more to us than any direct on shot of his face could. And it's this skeezy little angle we get of Epstein's ear, or very clearly not Epstein's ear because they don't even remotely match one another. So unless Epstein got new ears while in prison, this is not his body, which leaves us to wonder whose it is then. I've seen and read many theories, including a body double for who this could be, which is possible considering Epstein's countless millions of dollars he poured into his foray into human cloning, which, no joke, check out the Zorro Ranch.
See, let's stop right there. Epstein told me he had a place down in Mexico that was already working on cloning humans.
He'll be the first.
See what I'm saying? And you know what? You think about it, maybe that was his whole MO with this whole setting these folks up, cloning them, taking their DNA. He just needed them.
Nah, but think about it though. If you had a clone, why go to jail? He gonna do the time for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit. If I can make one clone, I'm gonna make about 10.
You got the king of
You
New
ain't gonna know who
Jersey. Salute to the God.
Peace to the God.
Yeah, my brothers. Hey, my brothers.
Man,
Good?
yeah, this is getting real good, man. It's really getting
Reverend
deep.
Love, my brother. Ain't get to see my brother in a minute, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Y'all
So,
be
yeah.
y'all be in the trend today, man. A little bit. I'm headed to North Jersey.
Yo, peace and love to the chat, man. Definitely got to get a love to the chat, man.
Shout out to the chat.
Word up.
Facts,
on the rail.
facts.
Been a trip around the world, but definitely miss you in the heart. Yeah.
Facts. Yeah, salute. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and keep on going. But it's getting deep though. So check this out. So right here we reading the place where they said Epstein had already said that he was creating a cloning place down in New Mexico that was already worked. Cause see, what he had did was, most people don't know, that video I put out, he went and invested a lot of money into Los Alamos, that area over there, because they didn't have the funding for the scientists. So he ended up putting a lot of money into it. So they asked him, why did he go out there and do it? His whole thing was, I was just helping them test stuff. I was testing numbers, but this shows that that's what he was down there with the scientists doing. So we're going to keep going.
Video if you haven't seen that. My personal theory, though, is that this body looks a ton like the brother of Hillary Clinton named Tony Rodham, who died just a handful of weeks prior to Epstein. And here's a photo of what he looks like. And no, I'm not lying to you. The man on screen is not Jeffrey Epstein. That's actually Hillary's brother, and you are not mistaken thinking that they could practically be twins. In fact, here's a...
Look at that. That's Hillary Clinton's brother. Boy, this guy, I'm telling you, I already told you. That's her brother. That's crazy. And don't he look like him?
Yeah.
Well, birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
We got to be able to do for each other. And there's no greater sacrifice for success. So, as history shows us, some people willing to do anything to get to the next level, especially live.
Facts.
Ain't no level like living.
Nah, you're right. This is crazy.
Side profile of him playing golf with Bill Clinton. The resemblance is uncanny. And the ears too, based on what I've seen, seem to show a lot of similarities with that of the body on the gurney, but it's hard to tell because photos of Tony are not exactly bountiful. It is interesting though that Tony's nose most certainly has more of a hooked shape like the body on the gurney, which Epstein's most certainly does not. However, that is not nearly the only thing about this photo that makes it so suspicious, not by a long shot. Indeed, the more compelling argument is about the photo itself, and more specifically, who took it. Let's pause and ask ourselves. No one at this point outside of a few prison staff knows Epstein's dead, supposedly, and no one has spoken about the matter outside of the prison system. So how then did a photographer manage to be at the exact right place at the exact right moment to get a photo of the now deceased, allegedly world's most high-profile criminal ever in the split second he's taken from the ambulance into the hospital? How? I mean, 1,000 things would have had to go correct. He would have had to know which prison Epstein was coming from. He would have had to have known when they were going to take him out. He had to have known that he had died. He had to have known which hospital they were going to take Epstein to, and at what time. There were so many things that just make the chances of this happening zero. And no, there wasn't a tip-off either. It wasn't leaked to the press, and no one was made aware that Epstein was going to be there. And this is the only photographer who shows up to see Epstein. So I can't believe that, and therefore I decided to look into who this photographer is. After all, he does seem to have the most fortunate timing ever and the best connections ever. He must have an illustrious career, correct? And you'd be incorrect because he doesn't actually exist. The name of this photographer is William Farrington, who happens to share the same last name and likeness of the infamous photographer Roger Farrington. Roger was famous for working with the CIA in the 1970s and being one of those guys who always got the exclusive shots of the most atrocious criminals. And the Epstein photos are nowhere near the first time he got an extremely well-timed photo, not even by a long shot. One example is he was one of the last people to get photos of John Lennon before his likely government-ended demise in the 1980s. Roger Farrington was also known for his special connections to the Boston Mafia in the 1970s. Roger Farrington was also a very close friend of the Clinton family and took many of their photos, and also had top-secret security clearance.
We gonna stop there. What y'all think about that? So this dude, so happy, it's gonna get deep because he gonna call the dude gonna mess around. So what you think about that, King?
I think it's some spooky stuff going on.
For real.
Yo,
like
yo, the funny thing is, right? Whatchamacallit, Hillary Clinton can really be related to Epstein. They probably cousins or something like that. This is cousins.
I ain't know that.
I said they probably are.
They probably are because they are connected. That's what I'm saying. Like, how? And that's a good question. How did this guy Like, think about it. They were all hanging together, you know. And I think that, you know what, that could have been it. That's the reason why Epstein allegedly could have been picking on Bill all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because they probably was all related. Huh? That's a good one. Let me just keep going. That's a good one.
Just let that one settle in for a second. And Roger Farrington has also photographed the wealthy, powerful, and celebrities, and his list of employers is just about the exact same as Epstein's Black Book. So I don't know about you, but that seems like a connection to me. And this William Farrington, despite taking one of the most important series of photos ever, that being Epstein's body being rolled out of the ambulance, has no desire to take credit for it. Indeed, outside of the watermark with his brand name on it, you really won't find him talking about it anywhere. Thus, when an investigator managed to find his phone number and call him, he got a very strange response that he wasn't expecting, considering how important this photograph was. And here it is for you now.
Hello?
Hi, is this Bill Farrington?
Who's calling?
My name's Robbie Walters. I'm a freelance writer from upstate New York.
What's going on?
I wanted to see if you had like a minute or so to talk about that Epstein photo you took on Saturday.
I didn't really care to talk about it.
Well, it's like a worldwide photo now. It's like probably the photo of the year. I just was, you know.
I don't think so. I think that's not like that. Thanks, Robbie. I appreciate your time.
Okay. All
Take care.
right. Bye.
Combine everything I've told you with this recording and the fact that there's zero social media presence for Will online, except for LinkedIn with no posts and a few followers. There's really no reason to believe this guy is anything other than Roger Farrington, using another name. And I might add that it is very convenient William also works for the New York Post, which is owned by a man named Rupert Murdoch, another vile fellow and friend of Epstein and Ghislaine's. And once again, I'm sure that's just a coincidence, but I doubt that this reason number 10 is, because if we were to look into Rupert Murdoch, we're going to notice some interesting things. His history of faking photographs does not begin with Epstein's. So let's switch to another photograph, that being Ghislaine's infamous In-N-Out Burger photo shoot. For context, 2 days after Epstein perished, allegedly, Ghislaine Maxwell was caught out at random at an In-N-Out Burger just reading a book and eating some munchies. This was the first public appearance of Ghislaine in over 3 years, and understandably everyone was a bit shocked to just see her there, sitting and eating. After all, this is the demon spawn and accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein, the international pedophile trafficker murderer, and she's just sitting there munching on her meal and reading a book. What gives? And there's a lot to unravel here, so let's run it from the top to the bottom. First of all, the book Ghislaine is reading is entitled The Book of Honor, The Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives, which is a little on the nose considering her father Robert Maxwell, herself, and Epstein were all intelligence assets. But that is by no means the strangest thing in this photo. Expanding into the photo itself, there are some things that are clearly off. According to the story, the photographer was a random passerby who noticed Ghislaine and asked if she was actually Ghislaine Maxwell, and then took the photo. Except that's definitely a lie. Firstly, there are 2 drinks, 2 phones, and 2 trays of food, as well as an ID badge sitting on the table. Ghislaine.
Let's stop there. What you think about that, boy?
Man, this whole thing is like weird, bruh.
I'm telling you, it's gonna get. What you think, Jai? Look at that.
I told you, everybody on the board has their piece to play, and every piece is being played. So you had the Rook. See, you had the Rook and your boy, the photographer. He always on the outside looking in. And he's being hired, bitch. When they show Rupert Murdoch, you already know that's the Featherman.
Yep.
That's what Epstein is connected to. That's why he ran politics.
Yep.
The Feathermen, they run everything, especially the media.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't think a soldier for Rupert Murdoch don't control everything?
Right.
Like most people don't even understand what the name Rupert Murdoch means.
Oh, I know.
But the reason they have Hillary Clinton is a key piece, because Hillary Clinton is like a second queen on the chessboard.
Right.
I mean, she's the only. Well, she's not the only one now because her daughter. But her daughter is going to marry. She didn't have no sons, sire sons, because she's the House of Roth. She's one of the branches. She's one of the. You know, her father is, you know, they come, you know, her name is Rotham.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She comes the House of Roth.
Not Rotham, Rodham.
Rodham.
No. The House of Roth. That's how they That's how you're announced, like Roethlisberger, like
Oh yeah,
Rothman. See,
yeah.
like that the House of Roth is
I ain't
600
thinking about
years old.
that Roethlisberger.
Yeah, just
Is
as you go, yeah, go look back into it. You'll
yeah.
see.
Hey
So when
boy,
they mix,
shoot
when
that
they
demand
marry and integrate,
link for
this
me.
is what you get. Like the
Huh?
Epstein,
Shoot Mac Mizzle the link.
Oh, I don't got my phone. I gotta go get it. Hold up.
Yeah,
the
this.
Epstein. You feel me? All of these are branches of families.
Yeah,
You feel me, bro? And they come from what we call the Bilderberger group. So this is all political and financial activity that's hundreds of years old, bro.
yeah.
And we looking at it like they sell it to us like it's new news. Now, who control all the news in the world? Who control 80% of all of the media in the world?
Shit,
Rupert
yeah,
Murdoch.
yeah,
Rupert Murdoch.
yeah. Rupert
Like,
Murdoch.
it's just one dude. Like all your publications, your television stations, all
Yeah,
that, he's behind all of that shit. See? So they got us looking at Bill Gates and them like they don't got power, bro.
yeah. They ain't got money like that. They just the
Nah.
pawns. They just the pawns.
Right. Like they don't realize them new guys the money. That's why the only president we've had in the history of America, well, no, it's two, but the only two we've had in the history of America, they're 140 years apart in servants, and that don't have no bloodline to all of the presidents, and that's Trump and Harrison.
Yeah,
Like it's crazy. So everybody else been bloodline connected. You can just follow their blood right back to the guys that started this whole system, and we keep acting like it don't exist. Well,
Also,
he's
Matt
showing you.
Mizzle, I sent it to you.
yeah.
He's
Mac, he
showing you
sent it
right
to you,
now,
Mac.
Matt.
Yeah. So let's keep going because it's gonna get spooky. Watch.
Ghislaine is clearly not alone, as the whole news media was telling us. Secondly, reviewing the metadata for the photo shows that it wasn't taken on some random phone camera, but a high-quality photography camera, which is convenient. Someone just had that with them while at In-N-Out Burger. Thirdly, the copyright for the image is owned by a company named Meadowgate Media, and a basic search for business filings shows us that Meadowgate Media has 5 directors or officers, and the agent for the company, who filed the paperwork, is a woman named Leah Stafian. And Leah, as we are told, is not some random passerby, but actually the Maxwell family lawyer and was with Ghislaine all the way through her show trial. The dog in the In-N-Out image is not Ghislaine's dog, as I imagine she eats puppy souls for breakfast, but is actually her lawyer Leah Stafian's dog, and you can see that on her archived social media profiles from the time.
That's crazy. So shit, this is crazy. All calculated. The picture is completely calculated. They communicating on the picture. This is crazy, bro. This is
Hey
crazy.
man, what's the best way to hide something?
Right in your face.
In plain sight.
Right
You
in your
feel me?
face.
So you don't suspect something in plain sight because your psyche, subconscious, make you believe that it belongs there.
Mm,
See, if you ain't put something there, you think it belongs there. And that's how you hide something in plain sight.
yeah. That's crazy.
Everybody do
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's
it.
true.
Yeah. We all do it in some way. You feel me?
Yeah.
On the real.
All
So
right.
that's
Let's keep. It's gonna get crazy, y'all.
Thus, the photograph was clearly staged, but to really bring it home, Meadowgate Media is also the name of a company owned by Rupert Murdoch, the same fellow who owns the company that got the impossibly well-timed photos of Epstein being rolled out of the ambulance. Or, well, I shouldn't say Epstein because we all know without a doubt that's not his body, which is just another clear sign that Rupert Murdoch is involved in this and stages photos. But if you thought I was done there, no. One more detail must be added to this whole thing. The Ghislaine photo was manipulated like I'll get out. When you remove the mosaic blurs from the faces in the background, you would quickly notice that the blurring was premature, because these people don't even have faces. For instance, the man in the back seems to have 4 sets of eyes that pop out of his face, in addition to a completely disjointed set of cheeks that don't really match his face. And he too, despite eating alone, has 2 drinks on the table, which is weird. The woman on the left of Ghislaine has an eye that is being overgrown by a random piece of flesh on her face, and the same seems to be happening for the other 2 old men at the table. Thus, either something horrible and undefinable happened to these folks, or this photo was horribly photoshopped, making it more clear this was staged. While we're at it though, knowing old Rupert Murdoch, Epstein's buddy, likes to falsify photos, let's point out what's wrong with the Epstein ambulance photo. Besides the fact the body's in Epstein's. 1, the oxygenator isn't even in Epstein's mouth, you can tell by the angle.
Man, this is crazy, ain't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This thing got even crazier right here. See what I'm saying? So, like he said, Your boy Murdoch, like I said, he a bad man. He known
Yeah,
for
yeah.
saying this
Yeah,
is crazy.
anything with him in it, anything with him in it, bro. It's as soon as you show him, it's over. Like he's like the Sith. Like on Star Wars,
Yeah,
word is born. He's like the Sith, but everybody knows it. Like
yeah,
that's the difference. Like everybody know it, and he'll do nothing political. He just control all the politics. People. The only
that's
person he don't
right.
like, the only guy he don't like, is Donald Trump.
This is crazy. Let's keep going.
Am I saying this whole thing is a lie? Let's not even belabor the point. No EMT ever pretends a body's alive and gives it oxygen and puts the neck in a brace. The whole thing's ridiculous. Epstein's been dead for like 6 hours at this point. This entire thing was a clever piece of propaganda. By the time Epstein made it to the ambulance, he was long dead. Unless your point is to make people think that, oh my goodness, they had rushed him to the hospital and he passed away there, and that Epstein had just taken his own life. It's clearly not what happened, and it's just ridiculous that they're trying to sell it at this point. This next section is just going to be a series of reasons why Epstein is very clearly alive. We'll try and go rapid fire because this video is already very long. The first reason I believe Epstein is not dead is simple. In 2014, 5 years before his death, Epstein masterminded the establishment of an unmonitored account that he reported to the authorities in the Virgin Islands that it would be used for establishing an international bank. In reality, this account was basically a really fancy entity that was separate from Epstein himself and would go unnoticed by almost everybody. And Epstein could run money in and out of it. Even Epstein's legal team didn't know about it until well after his alleged death. Just get this though, when Epstein supposedly dies in prison, the account has roughly $700,000 sitting in it. Within 5 months of his demise, the Epstein estate, which he sets up 2 weeks prior to his death while in prison, sends an automatic wire transfer of $15.5 million to the account. And I want to remind you, the only person who had access to this account or knew it existed and could have unilaterally made the transfer was Epstein, meaning that in December, the total amount of money in the account was roughly $16.2 million-ish.
That's crazy, ain't it? Boy set it up, and then all of a sudden, after his demise, he the only one to know he set it up.
That's just the one they saying talking about.
Yeah, because he got way more than $16
What?
million.
Just think of all of the world markets that you can have money in without the knowledge of the government. It's crazy, especially when you have $1 billion. See, you got $1 billion, bro. You could spend $1 million like $1.
Yeah,
See, you still have 999 more. So that ain't. I told you them islands. Imagine how many islands he had.
Yeah,
Remember, they was in cahoots with that Kamala Harris and them firm that was buying up all of the burnt up land around the world.
Yeah,
See, so they were already getting money. I mean, land in other countries. Like, bro, man, look it up, bro. They bought up like 40% of Hawaii.
yeah.
He was part of that.
Yeah,
He was part of that shit. See, so he got land everywhere. There's no reason for him not to, leave. Like you can't leave jail. You got your mind. And why would a billionaire kill himself before he gets sentenced?
Right. And he didn't
That
like
don't make
pain.
sense.
And he said he didn't even like pain. He didn't even like. That's crazy.
Yeah, that don't even make sense. And how you gonna be a billionaire and not good in jail?
Right.
Jeez, come on, bro. Name a billionaire that ain't good in jail. You got your mind.
Even Puffy
You gotta
did
be
it.
a
Yeah,
bro,
exactly.
bro.
Yeah,
It don't matter. If
yeah,
you got money, bro. If you got money, you good in jail. Because security is always up for hire. And it start with the guards. I told you it's all political.
yeah.
Word up.
It's crazy. Let's keep going.
Once again, only one man is capable of this, and he's supposedly deceased. Even stranger, no one ever presses Epstein's legal team on this. The story dies right about the same time, with no major news media coverage, which is why you've never heard of it likely until right now. There was one report I was able to find with any amount of decent information in it, and the judge says about the money that there is no explanation for it, and then the lawyers for Epstein proceed to claim that the money transfer was an error, and that the money was just used to make basic payments like cable bills. First of all, is it an error, or is it for paying bills? Because one, you don't make a $15 million error, And 2, you don't need $15 million to pay for your cable bill. And $16.2 million is more than enough to live off of, or, in my theory, to get to another country with. And I don't want to leave out that within a few weeks of Epstein's account receiving this $15 million transfer, all the money was liquidated, and before the new year, it was gone. No one knew where it went. On that note, there is an interview from an Epstein source claiming to be a Mossad agent. The agent goes on to claim that Epstein is alive and continuing his evil ring from the deserts of Israel, where he is being protected, and that Epstein has also continued the cloning operations we uncovered previously. The Mossad agent says he, along with many of his friends, were tasked with guarding Epstein, but are disgusted. Epstein is taking children from the streets of Israel and doing unimaginable things with them. And whether you take him at his word or not is up to you, but we do know that Epstein and Ghislaine's dad and Ghislaine herself were all Mossad agents based on the last video. And there is a picture of Epstein wearing an IDF or Israeli Defense Force shirt on a private jet with another individual. And finally, former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, was one of Epstein's best friends visiting his home in New York over 30 times after Epstein was convicted of sex trafficking children. It is also known that girls would walk into Epstein's home that very same time that Ehud was visiting.
Crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
This is crazy, bro. I mean, he's an 8 man. I'm telling you, it's gonna get even crazy. We almost done with this. But man, when I watched, I was like, whoa, this is too much. This is all being orchestrated. Like we said, we all up under a simulation, and we the ones being played in the game. Man, let's keep going.
And let's not forget that the government of Israel is one of the most pervasive examples of defending pedophilia. They do it for fun over there. Moving on to the third rap.
Look at that. I didn't even know that. I found that out. I looked up that right there. The promised land.
Hey, bro, let me tell you something. That's no lie. It's actually in this book of social guidance for the religion called the Talmud that you are allowed to take pubescent children for sexual deeds. Literally.
You think that's why them rappers be going over there?
J-Lo.
Well,
Rick
when you go over there, if you're so-called worshiping or practicing their faith, which had nothing to do with the rabbinical order, it's the Sadducees and the Pharisees. One is religiously doing what they want to do, whether it's corrupt or correct, and the other is financially doing what you want to do behind the shield of the name of the religion.
Right.
So the Bible gives us clear illustrations and examples of who and what it is. The Sadducees and the Pharisees.
Nah, that's real talk. Let's keep going because this is getting crazy.
Fire reason Epstein is not dead is that after doing that 30-minute Zorro Ranch video, I realized something very odd. A few years after Epstein allegedly passed away in prison, an anonymous buyer came forward and purchased the property at about a $10 million discount. And to this day, multiple years later, we've never gotten a single bit of information about who owns the property. And I do have to imagine that only one person would really be willing to buy that kind of property, considering that the entire thing is covered in cameras, and there's a kiddie strip club in the basement, and egg farms, and all sorts of other disgusting things. Which then makes me wonder why this buyer has been left anonymous, because there's only so many people in this world who have the sort of money to acquire such a property. And there's even fewer people who would know how to operate all the things inside of the property. And finally, keeping the buyer anonymous really does make me think that Epstein just reacquired the property under a different trust so that no one would be the wiser. Because after all, CNN and Fox told us he's dead, so he's dead. But sorry, that's too conspiratorial. 4, Epstein was clearly wealthier than anyone has ever been told. I've seen the numbers of his net worth go up every year from 500 million to 600 million to $1 billion to $2 billion. He clearly had a lot more money than we're aware of. And more important than money was his sway. He had connections to just about every single wealthy.
Well, Ja, you just said it. Like you said, they said 1 billion, 2 billion.
How many every year? Because when you got money everywhere, you can claim what you want to claim.
Yeah.
We do it on a small scale as business owners.
Yeah.
So imagine what you're doing when you're managing hundreds of millions. And where you getting it from. See? Mr. Consultant, Mr. Real Estate Guy, Mr. All of this stuff that you're doing work for other people, but it's really the trickle-down effect of your bloodline. That's how you got in that position.
Yeah.
So why would you give all of that up for a charge when you know you can go to the place of security and kick
Right.
back and relax with real military security and social freedom and authority. Why not? And your last name is Epstein too? We just call it that over here. It's something different over there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
See?
right. He got a whole nother name, whole
Yeah,
nother
because you are the children of the people that started that then there. And we talking about almost 1300 years ago. See, you're the children of them and you have gone and come back. That's why they all do what? When they get in a position in political and financial power, they have to go where? Over there. And
Yeah.
if you're not from there, and if you ain't smart enough to know who's there, see, that's why they don't like us going there. Because the ones of us that's smart, they already know we the original man. This is our place. It's our home. You got here and you stole it.
Fact.
See,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like the government just gave that to you in 1941. Like,
Yeah.
see, so they know that, but we have to pay. They financially they have to go pay homage to the Federal Reserve, and that's a group of men. Rupert Murdoch is a chairman of that runs the planet, bro. Financially, through the media influence, politically, through our laws, and medically.
Yeah.
They
No, you're
put that
right.
stuff in us. We got to watch what we doing, man.
Watch what we eat and all that. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
because
All
we
right.
could be their next victims. Epstein.
Yeah, you're right.
Or a powerful person or celebrity on the face of the earth, and there's no shot that he ended his life in prison. He most certainly got out. But one reason why I think that is because most of Epstein's wealth and his properties have been hidden to us. For instance, I'm assuming that you did not know, as I didn't until recently, that Little St. James, the island of infamy that comes to mind for everyone when they think of Epstein, was actually one of 2 islands he owned. He admitted to this in an interview. Little St. James is the little version of his other island, which is named the Great St. James. Little St. James is about 71 acres, and his Great St. James is 2.5 times the size of that, coming in at a whopping 161 acres. That island has never been searched, and we do know that there are buildings on it, but no one really seems to be able to get pictures of the property up close, which is...
That's crazy, ain't it?
I told you.
Yep. So they
I told you.
everybody focusing on the little island. He got the big island over there.
But bro, you can buy islands like cars when you're a billionaire. Literally.
But I'm just
Islands only
saying
cost
that
$1 million.
over there can't nobody talk about the Great St. James, and they don't even go over there. They can't even lie, but they can go over there and fly drones at the other one.
They knock them drones out the sky. The Great St.
I'm about to say, yeah, they put them electrical fields up. They'll stop all that. And you ain't going over there. It's against the law. His law.
Yep,
See?
it's his law. It's his country.
Yeah, we don't understand what having your own island is. I researched it and looked it up. I'm telling you, from between 800,000 and about 3 million, you can have anything you want.
Hey, your job, but I seen you that picture with them, bro.
You sent me the picture with them?
I seen you in a picture with them.
Oh man, shit! You know damn well. Hell no! Only thing you gonna see me doing when you see me robbing them, nigga.
Yeah, your favorite car was on the island with them. I seen it, bro.
You say you were fair.
Let me tell you something. You know how to minister. You know how to minister deal with or even look at Bati Boy and them to kill them off because you already know that's devilment and that's beneath the standard of manhood. We got an attitude for that. Like I said, the only time you see me around them is when I got an opportunity to take everything I can get.
Right. Yeah, this is crazy though. This other
mine and gold.
Yeah, salute the Magnificent. So we're gonna keep going.
Magnificent. Salute to the soldier, man.
Yeah,
Jaws in the building. Salute,
Peace, my brother. Peace, soldier. I ain't feel with you in a minute.
Man, let's get it.
Today. You heard me, John? I'm coming to meet you in Trinidad on my way to North Jersey.
Hey, what time you coming up?
Yo, I'm about to leave in a few.
All right, no doubt. Hit me. I'm in the building at the Wisdom Hour, but hit me up.
Are you going to work at the Wisdom Hour?
No, Wisdom.
Huh?
True indeed.
Oh, damn. I ain't going to catch you there. I'm taking the train.
Then what time you coming back through?
I'm coming back through on Monday morning.
Salute.
Monday morning.
Oh, hit me then. I come grab you at the station or something.
All right,
we got London in the house, y'all.
London in the house.
Salute to London.
London in the house.
Peace to London.
Yeah, so let's keep
London.
going. Let's keep going.
Is just another odd addition. It's also worth noting that allegedly these islands were sold, but to an anonymous buyer, for whom we have never gotten the name for, which co-aligns with just about every other Epstein property that has been sold to date. They all have anonymous buyers who never want to come forward. At the same time as this, we have drone footage of Epstein's little island a short while after his death, and while this drone was flying around getting video of the property, he noticed that there was a couple of people hanging out there. At first, one would assume that they were just landscape workers, but upon a second glance, you notice that besides the black guy, is this really oddly familiar looking white guy with white hair. He's just hanging out on his ATV, standing there, until he notices that there's a drone above him, at which point he hides his face for a little bit and then gets into the ATV and immediately drives as fast as possible into the garage where he's never seen again. And the angle is a bit tough, but that gringo does seem to look a lot like Epstein, and it is his island, so who knows? Definitely worth thinking about, but once again, not something you find in the news media. The resemblance truly is uncanny. But above all, if there were a reason to believe Epstein did not take his own life, and that he is still alive, it would be how quickly the media tried to cover it up. From left to right, I really don't care what your politics are. Every mainstream source was afraid to follow a real lead, like the magic money transfers Epstein was receiving, and they programmed us with hundreds of articles to not question the narrative. Because if you do, you're just an idiot and you love conspiracy theories. Well, you know what? There's an international child sex trafficker blackmailing the most powerful and wealthy people on earth, getting them to kids on camera, murdering them, and stealing their eggs, and discussing how he wanted to clone himself. He also had dirt on just about everyone in power, and you want me to believe he took his own life? I'm not that mentally deficient. That's just not going to work. That's not a conspiracy theory, that's just a conspiracy. Now I could continue this rant for hours on why Epstein clearly is not dead. There are facts upon facts upon facts that we could look into.
I thought Epstein didn't like Donald Trump.
Huh?
I thought Epstein didn't like Donald Trump.
Man, shoot.
Well, he didn't have to. Donald Trump had dissed him on camera. So after that, you know, like anybody else, you be hanging around. He was taking Donald Trump secretaries and shit.
Yeah,
Donald Trump got mad. Donald Trump got mad and told him, don't do that no more. And he did it again. Donald Trump told him he couldn't come around Mar-a-Lago or nowhere else with him.
Yeah,
so that's when they fell out.
It was the masseuses. He would go get a masseuse, and then he would try to hire them. And Trump said he'd come to Mar-a-Lago, and he turn around. He telling them that they can come work and he'll make more money. He said he kicked them off from Mar-a-Lago after that.
Man, he took his secretary, and she was like she was a 20-year-old daughter of the secretary. That's what it was.
Yeah,
and he told him don't do it, and he did it. He did it twice. And he was like, after that, he couldn't come back. And you know how they act. Once you fall out with one of them, everybody got to choose sides. That's why the Clintons were beefing with Trump after in the 80s, they was running with him.
Right. Yeah.
See, but when they have a falling out, you got to remember, Trump is from aristocratic money. He's not from political money. So to them, he's like a rich kid that won't listen to nobody. Like, fuck y'all. And once y'all put me in charge, I can do what I want. And they knew that. So they never wanted him to get in power. In 1989, that man said, he told Epstein to know, I'm going to be president one day. And I'm going to run for the president Republican Party because they didn't change. They ain't smart no more. And he did, and he won. That's genius. So they know that, and they got a problem with it. They be beefing. They be crazy, man. But that's what they do. They beefing right now. Look at them. Look, bro, remember the presidential election, the first one with Hillary and Trump? That was crazy. And Trump just didn't care because he's an aristocrat. He's not a politician. So he was doing the Epstein thing. I'm going to tell on everybody. And he was wild. And he was like Hillary and them with the mob in Russia. He was telling, because y'all want to tell on me, I'm going to tell on y'all. It wasn't that same old deception. That's the problem with him now. Everybody want him to shut up. And he like, no, I don't care because you can't do nothing to me about it. Fact. You got the biggest, you can't do nothing to me about it badge on. So the Epstein files is their only thing that they're trying to distract us with. So they beat us in the head with Epstein files while he is the file. He's somewhere chilling, looking at everybody laughing at the greatest show he ever pulled off.
That's a fact.
The
Let's
greatest
keep
trick
going.
to ever, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making you think he
What?
didn't exist.
He didn't
Making
exist.
people who didn't exist.
That's a fact.
Compelling than that. Let's just take a look at everyone who had a chance of breaking this case open or might have had any amount of evidence on Epstein and what's happened to them since Epstein passed away, because it seems a little too convenient for my taste. Take Virginia Giuffre, for instance, who was living in Australia with her family at the time at their ranch when she got into a car accident and was given 4 days to live, according to a post she made to social media. Shortly thereafter, though, she seemed to recover and was fine again, which is a little odd. Her family then made the effort to go online and say that Virginia was just not in her right mind after the accident. Yet according to Australian police reports, there were no injuries reported from this car accident. At the same time, we're getting news that her husband was abusive, yet we also know that her husband had claimed that Virginia was abusive, and they had both been in court over this. Once again, though, we have no actual proof that anyone was abusive in the relationship, because I can't even really find many of Virginia's posts on the topic. Continuing on with that, Virginia in April of 2025 is found dead by suicide, which is odd, and I don't believe that, period. But I especially don't believe it because Virginia made a post to social media discussing how if she's ever found dead by suicide, it wasn't of her own volition and that she did not commit suicide. She was murdered. Continuing even further down that rabbit hole, there is a note that she left that her family said was a suicide note, except we've only gotten a very tiny part of that note, and it reads as follows. Mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers need to show the battle lines are drawn and stand together to fight for the future of victims. Is protesting the answer? I don't know, but we've got to start somewhere. They kind of tried to phrase this as a suicide note, or like something was going on with Virginia and she took her life over this, but this is clearly not a side note. It's saying that you want to continue the fight, which she obviously did by putting on blast Epstein and Ghislaine and everything that they had done. And looking at the letter itself, you can see that there are bullet points, meaning that these were just a few of many points she had listed out for us to know, yet only this small section has ever been released to my knowledge. So very odd and too much mystery surrounding her death for me to believe it's just a suicide. Continuing on, we have Mark Middleton, who served as a special assistant to President Bill Clinton during the first term of his presidency. Mark Middleton had admitted Epstein into the White House at least 7 of his 17 times visiting during that first term, meaning Mark had access and knowledge of everything that went down between the two, and yet Mark dies by suicide in May of 2022. He was 59 years old and his body was found in a car at the Heifer Ranch, which is owned by an anti-poverty nonprofit in Arkansas, an hour west of Little Rock. Middleton was also known to have flown on Epstein's jet several times, the Lolita Express. Middleton was forced out of the White House in 1995 after being accused of setting himself up as an international deal maker. In 1996, there was an investigation by the White House which found Middleton had abused his access to impress business clients, and he was barred from the executive mansion without senior approval. And then we have Jean-Luc Brunel, Jeffrey Epstein's French modeling attaché, friend, whatever you want to call him. Jean-Luc was found dead in his Paris prison cell in February of 2020, where he had been since December of 2020 on charges of raping children. Brunel, much like Epstein, was allegedly caught multiple times after having tried to take his own life, but was not successful until February 19th of 2022, when guards entered his cell to find him hanging, and I can't make this up, via bed sheets from the top shelf of his bunk.
You see that? You see that hat? It's crazy. And his best friend was in jail during this time, and he ended up losing his life the same way like Epstein, allegedly. And he was a big Chester.
They're on Epstein Island right now, just chilling, bro.
Yeah.
They got them both about there.
Bro, come on, bro. Watch this.
And I imagine it was darn near identical to how Epstein had met his end as well. I think the similarities to how Epstein met his end in this case speak for themselves. Naturally, French investigators researched the topic and came to the conclusion that there was definitely no connection to Epstein and Brunel took his own life. Virginia Giuffre said that Brunel had used her as a sex slave and forced her to have sex with well-known politicians and businessmen. And if this...
Y'all ain't never seen that one, have you? Yeah, I won't get it on your boy.
Look at your boy Trump.
Hey, that's that picture he was talking about. He put it on there. That's that secretary's daughter.
Yep.
Epstein took her to the island.
Yep.
Put it up.
Crazy.
It doesn't make you sick. Brunel's lawyers state that he was not guided by guilt, but by a profound sense of injustice, meaning that he was the one that was being done injustice after raping kids, and that he was innocent on all charges. Thomas Bowers, a former Deutsche Bank executive, hanged himself at his Malibu home in November 2019 at the age of 55. Bowers was the head of the Deutsche Bank's wealth management division until 2015. Deutsche's relationship with Epstein, which lasted for 5 years from 2013 to 2018, was the focus of many of the lawsuits after his death. In 2020, Deutsche Bank agreed to pay over $150 million to New York regulators to settle allegations that they had overlooked suspicious transactions linked to Epstein. Now, I'm going to add a little color here. They did not overlook. It is well known that Deutsche Bank knew exactly what this money was being traded for. And I think that this fellow's life, allegedly having been taken in his own hand, is even further evidence that Deutsche Bank and many of the people who worked there knew what Epstein was doing well in advance of it becoming mainstream media. And they absolutely could have stopped it or slowed it down, but chose not.
Isn't the Deutsche Bank is what the mafia used to use back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to. Deutsche Bank made a statement that says, "We acknowledge our error in onboarding Epstein in 2013 and the weaknesses in our processes and have learned from our mistakes and shortcomings," a Deutsche Bank spokesman said at that time. The bank has also reached a $75 million settlement with victims of Epstein in 2023. They did not acknowledge any wrongdoing, though, as part of the settlement, and it does continue to get worse. Bowers had 3 children who are not only fatherless, but also motherless after she randomly and mysteriously perished in April of 2017. Now, I feel as though we can fill in what the random might have been in that, and that is not so mysterious, considering that Epstein and Co. would have ensured that anyone who wanted to talk about what was going on would have been silenced. And I also imagine that Bowers might have tried to come out with this too, racked with guilt over the death of his wife, and he too had himself hanged. You know what? I'm a little angry about all of this, that he's gotten away with it, so let's continue down this list of all the other people who are linked to Epstein and his money, or knew him very well personally, who are now dead, allegedly by their own hand. Stephen Hoffenberger, Epstein's mentor, who served 18 years in prison for running a massive Ponzi scheme that stole over $500 million worth of people's money, had a huge conversion to Christianity during his time in prison, God bless. And following his release, he claimed to be seeking amends with all the victims of Epstein. And he was the guy who would have known more about Epstein than possibly anybody, having trained him in his methods for scamming people, although he, as far as we're aware, was not involved in the child trafficking process. Hoffenberger was serious about this, and he began reaching out to victims of Epstein and was trying to make amends with them seriously as hard as he could, including giving money and helping them get back on their feet. One such woman was Maria Farmer, who reported that she and Hoffenberg had become friends, of all things. Intriguingly though, Hoffenberger was found dead at his apartment in Derby, Connecticut on August the 23rd of 2022 at the age of 77. And of all people, Maria Farmer was the one who called in to the police to check on Hoffenberger after she couldn't get on the phone with him for the week before. In many ways, it's sweet that he was able to make a positive impact on these women's lives, but it does not change the fact that his body was in an advanced state of decomposition, according to the police, and it was estimated that he'd been dead for about a week at that point. In addition to Virginia Guffey, there were 2 other sex slaves of Epstein's named Carolyn Andriano, who was 36 years old, and Leigh Skye Patrick, who was 29, and they both died of alleged drug overdoses, one in May of 2023 and the other also in May of 2017. And once again, here we go, Epstein's ex-butler, Alfredo Rodriguez, who is the reason we have Epstein's black book, because he sold it to an undercover FBI agent after stealing it, died in prison of mesothelioma, allegedly. Seems like a fat chance of that happening. In addition to this, 2 of Epstein's attorneys have passed away. One was Kenneth Starr in September of 2022 at the age of 76 due to a surgical complication, and a man named Roy Black, who died at the age of 80 just last month. Joe Riccari, the Palm Beach police detective who led the Epstein investigation initially and pushed officials for justice hard, died May 25th of 2018 after a very short illness. He was 50. Marvin Minsky, the MIT artificial intelligence pioneer and named in Virginia Giuffre's Epstein allegations, suffered a fatal cerebral hemorrhage in January of 2016 at the age of 88, while Ronald R. Eppinger Sr., who was a Miami pimp, was allegedly the first to traffic Guffey, died at the age of 80 in November of 2006. 2 investigative journalists who had been chasing Epstein in the scandal also met their end. Former NYPD detective and Epstein book author named John Connolly passed away in January of 2022 at the age of 78. Additionally, in May of 2016, seems like a lot of these happened in May, celebrity photographer Wendy Lay had her body discovered by the police under her London balcony, and police have still referred to it as a suicide, although I'm not quite sure how that could happen. At the time of her demise, she was 65 years old. Steve Bing, 55-year-old movie producer, fell from the 27th floor of his LA apartment building in June of 2020. Guess the conversation he just had with the FBI. You'd be correct. He had just been speaking to the FBI about Jeffrey Epstein and what he was up to. Bill Richardson, another New Mexico governor friend of Epstein's, died in his sleep in September of 2023, at the age of 75. Many of these deaths may be newer within the past decade, but it goes a lot further back than that, and I'm sure we could find even more evidence. We all know that Les Wexner hired Epstein on to manage everything for him, financially speaking, which is not suspicious whatsoever, but you might not know that even before that, there was someone else who had been in a similar position to Epstein, that was in charge of managing a lot of Wexner's assets, but also in charge of some of his business operations. In March of 1985, this man was gunned down shortly after being questioned by the IRS about illegal tax shelters, which is very interesting considering that Epstein's job was allegedly at Bear Stearns to be the guy who would help the ultra-wealthy pay as little taxes as possible. And now, as we sit today, the most important accomplice to Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, sits behind bars in prison. And I just want you to think, based on the track record, what's probably going to happen to her is a of some kind. Now, whether or not that's staged is up to you, but I do think that without a doubt, we have most certainly proven that Epstein did not take his own life. Epstein is certainly alive, and that Epstein is a threat to anyone and everyone who was around him. And that's why the ultra-powerful, wealthy, and the celebrities have maintained silence on the topic. And to this day, the media continues to push the narrative that Epstein did die in that prison cell, and that we should not look any further.
All right, y'all. So based on that was it, man. I had to play this. This was crazy. Like, to me, I don't know, what y'all think about it. John, what you thinking? I'm gonna have King and Mac, and we gonna get up off here. So John, what you think in a nutshell, bro? I mean, we talked about it. Me and you talked about this, but I'm saying now the pieces are adding up now. Everything is adding up. This dude actually is a dangerous bro. He really got some long money. And I think everybody, anytime you go to them peoples and go tell on him, he already know.
Hold up. That boy money longer than train smoke.
Yeah, for real. So, John, what you want to say about that?
I would just say that we have to remember that everything that we have an attention to isn't always really what it is. Most things that are given to us or fed to us by this media is a distraction from the real situation and the real problem. So
Right.
while we got the demons running around and doing what they want to do, they're using elements of distraction to keep us from the people that are still doing wicked and evil things. So we should be more conscious of the media and definitely start making the media work for ourselves. Communal integrity is important to protect ourselves from people like Epstein, because it's a whole lot of Epsteins running around us every day, and some of them ain't got no money.
Yeah. Especially, they more dangerous the ones that got it. All right, King, what you want to speak on that?
Man, how Father Allah said about it, it's nothing new under the sun.
That's a fact. That's a
the
fact.
Proof is in the pudding. That's why they call them pudding. The proof is in the pudding.
That's a fact.
Yo, man, we talk about these. How these guys. How these white socialites are, man.
Mm-hmm.
Their only job is to keep the original people down.
Right.
And they do it by any means necessary.
Right. That's a fact.
That rich billionaire white man is not killing himself, bro. He's not going to unalive himself.
Yeah, he not.
Nah.
There's too much money. I know some dudes that go to work and they don't want to lose their life.
Yeah.
They glad to get their paycheck. So ain't nowhere in the world, like Josh said, you got millions of dollars, and they said they don't know what and I didn't even know until I watched it the other night. He had 2 islands. So they plan on us. They like, yeah, we're going to keep flying drones over here at the little one, but he's building a whole nother city on the big one. It's crazy work, bro. It's crazy work. Mac Mills, what you want to say about it before we get off here?
I just know that it's crazy, If you really look into the whole situation, Montreal is mentioned in those files about 1,300 times. Or more. You know what I'm saying? So
Montreal is big with it over there.
You gotta think about that. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to those things, it's very deep. I think
it's crazy.
It probably started from over here,
Oh yeah, Well, and then he even said he was part of he's part of an op. He's part of the allegedly Israeli and the ops. So
Exactly.
and right before he got charged, your boy came over there. They probably sat down around there, had all them allegedly young kids, them young girls. They in there talking about, hey, don't even worry about it, bro. We're gonna go in and set all this up. Allegedly Hillary's brother, he done passed away. We just gonna throw him in the cell. You know what I'm saying? Wrap it around his neck and have him hanging there. And we're gonna go through the whole play. And we're gonna run it up.
Yeah.
We're gonna run it up. Yeah, so yeah, man. So I appreciate my brothers coming on here.
Oh, yeah, yo, Mac Mizzle.
You?
Yo, we seen you in that picture with Epstein, man.
We saw
you Wangwans on Jamaica, my boy.
They said you was in that Art Kelly, the Art Kelly video with Jay-Z on the island. When they
it crossed board with security though.
Yeah, they doing that fiesta. That's why Dame Dash.
Yo, but people will look at that picture and be like, "Yo, that's for real. That's for real. Yo, look, proof."
Yeah.
It's like it's crazy, bro.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Y'all think that the thing with Jay-Z and Epstein is a real thing? Or do y'all think they trying to hang Jay-Z out to dry now?
No, I think to me personally, I think it's a real thing because again, you got to remember, like Josh said, the rest of these people, these Bill Gates and them, they the pawns, bro. They ain't the ones with the money, because they're the ones easily get told on. The ones that got the money, you don't even know what they look like. So I just think that, I think they went.
Bill Gates for like $300 billion.
Man, he ain't got money, dog.
See, money is different from power.
Yeah.
Money can get you a certain amount of power, but then there's people that make the money. Not make money and say, it's people. We make money because we go do things to get it. There's people that physically make the money.
Yeah.
So you can go in your basement and make new money tonight. You don't care about what people think and say because they're going to spend your money anyway because you already got it set up. And that's how it is. So he's in an algorithm that's different. When we speak on like the entertainers and stuff, they small pies. They're not even a part of the matrix because their level of power don't exist. You feel me? And Jay-Z moves properly. That's why he ain't been caught up in a lot of shit. Notice the men that maintain their family structure.
But you see what hard. Say this is Jay-Z is my friend.
Yeah.
Right, but when you see 50 ain't got no marital structure. That shows no discipline as a man.
That shows a lot more discipline as a man.
No, that shows no discipline because the greatest testament to a man, is his management of his wife.
Do by yourself, bro. Do by yourself, bro.
Hey, my brother. Me, I'm doing it by myself and have done it. But the men that have married themselves in Islam, marriage is half your faith. That means if you can maintain life in that marital construct, you are exhibiting a discipline that other men have failed in or haven't even tried. I'm one myself, and I'm watching y'all walk in that. So no, sir. All the men that have walked in that strong discipline of marital faith has been successful. So he got like a little force field around him because he's doing what he's supposed to do. And as long as he stay within that, they can try all they want. The haters can try all they want. The agitators can try all they want. They ain't gonna get it.
Defending Diddy and fucking Jay-Z, bro.
I'm not defending anyone. I'm defending truth. I'm just defending truth. And Epstein is a liar, and that's why he's alive. Because he bent the truth and made people see it different.
Man, he flipped the script. I don't care. Based off of that video right there, that let me know because that's the stuff we weren't looking at it. Like you got two alleged guards down there. One is a temp chick. They got to fighting with her trainer 2 weeks prior because the woman was telling her how to do her job. And then the other guy, Michael Thompson or whatever his name was, He wasn't even qualified. He wasn't even, I don't know where he came from.
Ex-felon?
Yeah, bro, he won't no correctional officer. He had no
Now,
training.
they were in Manhattan. It was in New York.
Yep. Yeah.
But that's my point. Why were you there, right? You know you wasn't getting, man, you know you wasn't getting away with that stuff there. Y'all, they run New York. Like think. They run everywhere. That's why when Max said that, he right. See, we chop up towns and streets.
Yeah.
They chop up the globe, bro.
Yeah.
They play with the globe. They take pieces of the globe and deal with. We run around here looking at houses on streets. It's a different psychology. And that's when we look at the reality of it, like, how in the hell are you going to just give up and say, I'm going to kill myself because I got locked up and I ain't even get sentenced yet? Man, that's a Machiavelli move, nigga. You don't even, like you can go to court and pay your way out of court. Like, it's all types of stuff you could have did.
Yeah,
he did the right thing. I'm gonna end it all. See?
Yeah.
And what they gonna say now? Now you got people up here talking about the files. And he is the file.
He is the file. And think about it, all the people that allegedly was unalive the way he was done by Hank, now they gone. So they all together, like boy, they all together, they all chilling on the island. They all sitting around watching, enjoying themselves, still doing what they doing. And like they say, he was taking them young girls and, allegedly children.
He over there right now in Israel doing it.
Yep.
See, same thing, same danger. Crazy, and guess who chose his side? The Clintons.
Yeah.
That's why Trump won the ass. Because see, it's all money still being transferred to power going on right now. And he's not even around here. And just think, if he's dead, why is the files important? See, somebody just made that important.
Just show your FC Allen stamp right here, bro.
Say he got his tat on there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, but but now I just wanted to, like I said, I wanted to bring this and bring the awareness, dog. It was just something I just thought. Again, me and John, we had talked about it before and born, and I kept saying it, but then when I saw this last night, I was like, you know what? I gotta run this. I just gotta run it. You know what I mean? And I appreciate people that came in. We still got a lot of people in here. Make sure y'all hit that like button, but we finna get off because I got to go start making donuts.
Yeah,
time to make the donuts. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I gotta get refined and go back into this joint, man.
See what I'm saying?
Word up. But man, look, you know what though, man? It was nothing but love and respect, man. I miss my brothers, man. I miss my sisters, man.
We gotta get back into it, man.
Word is born. We're gonna definitely make regular routine again, man.
Born getting us back into it. He getting back into it. If he stay on the same consistency, then I'll start going live more. But sometimes we're gonna have to do it and pushing it more. So because I got a lot of stuff I want to talk. You know me, I'm gonna bring it. So YouTube, don't be
read a lot of books.
Allegedly, y'all say I'm shadow banned, but there's no evidence of I'm shadow banned. So I'm gonna believe I ain't shadow banned. But if y'all Google and put it in there, it'll say there's no evidence, but there is currently, I could be. So I already knew that a long time ago. So this was only for informational purpose. The people that were affected, we do not agree with that. We think that the human trafficking and all that stuff is completely inappropriate. And us as men, the same thing. We talk about content and entertainment. We're talking about peoples and blogs and things of that nature. And we're bringing awareness to a lot of times to let these kids know, whether it be the entertainers that claim they done all this stuff. We find out later they ain't, to the ones that's putting it in our face and we think we smarter than them. But you can't change the blueprint. You can't recreate the blueprint or master the blueprint if you never created it. I'm gonna say it again. You can never beat the blueprint if you have never been a part of it to create it, because you don't know the cheat code. So, you know what I'm saying? That being said, salute to everybody. Salute to my brothers on the panel, and let's continue to stay great.
Peace and blessings.